booktube, coming to you live from the attic down here in the burgeoning summer here in Texas that is quickly coming fast. We've had nothing but rain, and now the heat's coming. So anyways, wanted to do what I believe is probably my first actual book review with two things in mind. One, this may be a colossal failure. Secondly, I'm going to try not to say worked for a mean person for many years who was god awful and said at least 7 billion times. Love to hear herself talk. Was not very nice. So I, for some reason, say it a lot now, and I blame it on the fact that I had to work for her for about 4 years. So anyways, let's get back to what's important and why I let that cretin enter my mind space. Book today is Louis L'Amour's Mojave Crossing. This book is, if we check our little Louis L'Amour checklist, all his books, this was book 9 in it, and I've dropped it. So here we go. There, look, said already. Start with the cover. I'm sure covers to y'all as well as myself are very important. This painting has Till Sackett and another gentleman there who is in the story, and this painting is representative of what happens in the book. Sometimes you have art on these books that you're like, this doesn't happen in the book, but this one does. So, or what you could imagine a scene being like this. So I went through and kind of looked at the cover, and I'm somewhat conflicted by these books because, one, this is the majority of the Louis L'Amour books I have this kind of a white cover, white spine, but it's what's neat is the whole book is covered in the art, whereas this one you're kind of blocked off. You get a smaller painting, and these are new paintings. These aren't just paintings they took from this artist and put on here. I think this one is by Richard Magnus. And so basically what I did was I went through and looked online at the different Mojave Crossing paintings or book covers, and there's about 9 different covers for this book, and all different and all neat looking. So if you want to kill some time, go out there and do that. Anyways, so I think after looking at these and kind of studying them in my shelf, I think I'm growing to where I'm starting to like this format. It's basically a nice colored as opposed to just the white, even though the paintings are great on here. But as a collection up there, the spines look kind of neat, a little bit more organized. You got the Sackett here. It'd be neat if they had the numbers, but that's no big deal. So anyways, what's the story about? The story is about Till Sackett, which is one of the Sackett brothers that you may be familiar with if you've read any of these. And he is in Arizona and needs to get over to Los Angeles, and a person wants to go with him, and from the get-go, the problems are, start off right immediately when he's getting ready to go. So a couple things. I guess one thing that you'll recognize is that Louis L'Amour has, I don't want to say a formula, but his books are very similar. They're fun Western books, and you always get a good feel for who he is, where he's from. Even if you haven't read previous Sackett novels in this series, you can still pick up these books and go with them and enjoy them, because they will give you a little glimpse into where the family's from that this series follows. And so you don't feel like you're just reading something and missing out that you hadn't read the previous books that came before this. So definitely can pick this one up, and I would you know, if I had to recommend a Lewis L'Amour book to somebody, I wouldn't have any problems recommending this one because you'll get a good flavor and a good feel for how he writes. And this book, I think, stands out probably more than some of the other ones I've read by him. I think that looking at the twists and turns in this, it's a good place to start if you haven't read it before. So, highly recommended. One of the things that Lewis L'Amour does is he's very good at giving you a good description of the West back then and the locales and where you're going. They're all true. They've got a map in most of these, so you can kind of trace where the characters are going. I said, very, very aware I'm saying it now. And anyway, so it's a great ride. You start off with just, you know, adventure right away. You don't wait 100 pages into this thing and go, man, this thing's dragging. Where are we going? It's not. It's a, you know, less than 200 pages, so you'll knock it out quick. But he puts you in the action, and you're going immediately and having a good ride. So, that being said, if you have not read any Lewis L'Amour's, you know, feel free to pick up this one. I kind of went through the checklist, and I think I've read probably maybe 17 to 20 out of all his books. I got this neat little checklist years ago from his website. And but anyway, so just want to kind of do a review. In Goodreads, I gave it 4 stars. I rate most books, it seems like 3, 4, and 5 stars. Very few get 5, but mainly 3 and 4. And I hate ranking books. I'm pretty easygoing, and I like most things that I'm reading. So I don't know. I'd give it 4 stars for sure for me. My Goodreads, which is, you know, again, very subjective to who you are. The next thing I was going to say is what's next for the summer. I've got a huge TBR stack down here, but I think what's going next for me is Shark Island by Chris Jameson. He's written 3 of these books: Shark Island, Shark Beach, and I think the other one's Devil's Shark or Devil Island. And because we're considering going to the beach, I think this would be a fun one to scare the living S out of me before I get into the water. Because the last time I went to the beach, I swear we saw sharks. And I think after we left the beach, not long after that, there was a shark attack. So why am I doing that to myself, actually? Well, I'm committed at this point in more ways than one. So that's my review of Lewis L'Amour's Mojave Crossing, Book 9 in the Sackett series. Get it, you'll like it. It's great, easy read, fun, Western adventure, palate cleanser, if you will. And I'll possibly do a review on this. I'll see how I feel after I watch this one. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've recorded this with various interruptions. And so anyways, I think that's it for now. So until we meet again.